Welcome to another episode of How I Doubled, the show where we take a look at businesses that have doubled their turnover in the last 2 years. My name's Pete Quist, and I'll take you through the journey today. How would you like to take a $20,000 bank loan and turn it into a business turning over in excess of $6 million in just 5 years? Well, good news. Our guest tonight has done exactly that, and I'd like to welcome from ElectricityWizard.com.au, Alan Belkin. Alan, thanks for joining us.
Nice to be here, Pete. Really nice to be here.
Now, tell me, Alan, it's not all rosy and peaches and poetry in business, is it? Let's give the viewers a stark reality before we get going.
Okay. So, first things first, I think that I just want to start by saying this. 5 years ago, if you had asked me, would I be sitting where I'm sitting, talking about how to grow a business from 20,000 in debt to 6 million a year, I would have said you're insane. I mean, that's just the truth. The second thing I want to say is that I'm incredibly humbled to be here. And what I wanted to do when I came in preparing for today was give everyone a real perspective about what it's actually like in the last 5 years. And you said it's not been peaches and cream. I've woken up every day, probably in the last 5 years, experiencing some degree of something between fear and concern or worry. And the reality is that if you're growing a business, you're pushing the outer edges of your comfort zone. So you're pushing yourself, and you're having to stretch your mind and all of what's possible that you think is possible, so you're naturally going to be in fear. So everyone that's watching that's growing a business is going to be dealing with some version of fear and some version of dealing with concern about what it is going to take for them to take action on the things that are really important. And so there are two themes, I think, to the last 5 years. The first is, and this is the most basic thing, and if everyone watching just took one thing away, it'd be around action, and the second thing is going to be around dealing with fear. Because if you can deal with fear in business, if you can deal with your own personal demons in business, you can conquer absolutely anything. And literally every avenue and every door becomes available to you. But it's why this self-help industry and the business industries, the education industry is so big, is because people are looking for solutions on how to double their business, grow their business, and they're looking for things like in here, as in solutions to change their mindset, fix something that's going on in their head, or they're looking for things that are going to make them feel better about the circumstances. And I think the message is really simple. In the last 5 years, there's been one simple thing that's allowed the business to go from 20,000 in debt. And by the way, during the process, it's not like it was we made profits from day one. That didn't happen. So that's like let's not kid ourselves. But the one thing wasn't dealing with necessarily the stuff in here or the circumstances. The one thing that made any kind of difference in growing the business was taking action on something. And so a lot of the things we're going to talk about today are going to be about what does it take for people to get off their asses and actually get in gear. And I hope we don't have to be politically correct about it, because the truth is, the difference is going to be, if you're going to make any money and you're going to grow a business at all, you're going to have to deal with shit. And you're going to have to deal with your own emotional stuff. You're going to have to deal with people around you criticizing you, telling you can't do it. You're going to have a whole bunch of stuff you're going to deal with. And nothing is going to be possible unless people that are watching, everyone watching this, is going to be able to get off their asses and take action out of this. So I hope that everything we talk about, all the strategies, all the techniques, all the different bits and pieces, all got to come back to action. And action is the only thing that's going to allow you to make more sales. It's going to allow you to get more leads. It's going to allow you to improve your AdWords account. It's going to allow you to get the right people. And so the thing is, when we talk about today, and I want to talk about this anyway, I'm sure we've got a lot of things you want to talk about too, but one of the major things is what's going to get in the way of taking action. And so we'll start with that at least. And one other thing, I started incredibly humble. I had 4 or 5 companies that I built before this one, and a lot of them didn't work. And I think that when I'm speaking to business people today, a lot of them are saying, I'm expecting that my business is going to be successful in 6 months or 12 months. Business isn't successful for 3, 4, 5 years. And, every day is a battle. And so, anyway, let's start with that. But what are the things that we want to really talk about today? What are some of the critical things?
So first of all, I just want to say that's one of the best openings I've ever seen to a show. And anyone that's tuning in, they can probably switch off now. You've had the first 5 minutes is exactly what you need for your business to go out and get started. Thanks for joining us. No, I'm just kidding. But like from the heart, right?
Right.
That's where that came from.
Yes.
It's the truth.
I have to tell you something. And I didn't want to say this when I came on, but I'm going to say it anyway. I probably wanted to quit my business and ElectricityWizard.com.au. I wanted to drop it and forget about it probably about at least 200 times. People think, I remember the nights when I used to stand, I'm going to tell a quick story. I remember this one night I was standing I lived in this beautiful apartment. I lived physically right next to my office. And I was standing on the balcony and there's this little glimpse of a lake and outside from the apartment. You can kind of just see it. It's Albert Park Lake for anybody that lives in Melbourne. If you live around the world, Melbourne's the best city. And I was looking, and I remember days at a time, not necessarily consecutively, but so many days I wanted to drop whatever I was doing. And I wanted to quit. Because I was dealing with stuff. I was dealing with every problem that every business person's ever going to deal with. A lack of revenue, rising costs, staff which may or may not show up the next day, right? That pull sickies at 9 p.m. for the next day, and we're a sales business. So, by the way, we probably should spend a minute talking about what we actually do, right?
That was my next question here.
What do we do?
Yeah, what is ElectricityWizard.com.au?
So, ElectricityWizard.com.au. So here's what our business is. In the Australian market, we're a bit unique around the world. So there's a global audience, and I think people are going to have different experiences of electricity and gas. But we are an online website that we drive a lot of traffic digitally. We're solely essentially a digital business. We're the best in the country at what we do. And what we do is we drive traffic to our website through a whole bunch of sources for people that are looking to save money on their electricity and their gas bills. So in Australia, you can choose which power company you go with. You don't always have that choice in other parts of the world. We're very lucky. There's probably like 20 companies in Australia you can choose from. And consumers have a really hard time choosing the company that they're going to choose to save money. So what we do and where we come in, we've got a massive sales team, and it's grown. It's fluctuated between, we started with 1 and now we're up to 30, 35, 40 people at one time. And we help people, when they call us, find the right power company, and then we switch. We switch them. That's what we do. And not everybody around the world has that option. You have it with your telco company, but not with your energy company. So, but the essence of our business, there's 2 wheels to it. We generate leads online, and then we sell them in a call center in Australia. And the really basic 2 engines of our business is digital marketing, the lead generation, that's what drives us, and then a great culture and great people, which allow us to help customers switch and save on their power bills. That's the essence of our business.
And everything that we've talked about leads us beautifully into the first point that I have on my list here, which is foundation. Foundation being key to why you were able to double the turnover of the business in the last 2 years. So foundation, though, is not just one thing.
Yes.
It's multifaceted.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
First things first, authenticity. I just want to speak about that briefly, right? Because anyone that's running a business may at times feel like they have to be somebody other than themselves, or they have to somehow change themselves to be successful. And you know what I found is really ironic? I spent 5 years unchanging myself and undoing a lot of the programming that I thought I had to change.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Well, so here's an example. I always was afraid of criticism publicly. I never grew up as a successful kid and like a popular kid. Anyone that went to Brighton Secondary College is going to verify that. I was never the popular guy. And the reality was I was the nerdy kid that was walking around, and I absolutely hated. You think I could do this, like speaking like this? This was like a pipe dream 5 years ago. I was nervous, I was edgy, I was twitchy, I was weird. I'm still weird. Anybody? I think I'm pretty weird. So, people think that, so where was I going with this? What was the question? Authenticity, yeah. That's right. I forgot all about it. I was thinking about how weird I am.
We'll get back to it. No, it's okay. It's okay.
We'll cut that slide out, yeah?
Okay, yeah. We'll edit this later. That's fine.
We'll do the editing.
Yeah.
So I'm not weird. So authenticity. If you can just tell the world who you really are, share yourself vulnerably, authentically, like the parts of you that you want to hide and you don't want the world to know, like the one that's called I'm scared and I'm afraid. If you can share that with the world, people will relate to you. You will have such an incredible influx of customers. People want to work with people. And so authenticity is the beginning foundation of anything in life, particularly in business. Business is not something that's confusing or complicated. Business is really simple when you break it down to the essence. It's one thing. It's people connecting with people offering value. And if you can connect really authentically and you can share yourself and who you are as a human being with the world, people will buy your stuff, provided it's a good product. I'm saying provided you're offering authentic, real value. If you're offering crap and your product's shit, well, don't worry about it. You're not going to get anywhere. But if you have a great, valuable product and you're authentic, that's the foundation. That's the essence. And the second thing is all around, and this is my belief, it's been around openness, which really closely ties in. My staff would know that they've seen me days when I've been in tears and I've cried. You know, crying's the best recipe, like the best medicine for everything in life. You know, if you're in business and you haven't cried, cry more often. It's great, you know, because it actually, it's cathartic. It's great. People are going to think that's really strange, but I'm a strange kind of guy, so it all works. So look, openness. If you have a culture where everybody can knock on your door and they can tell you their most intimate things, you're going to have a really successful business. Anybody that's having sales staff issues, like if you've got any issue with staff, I would look in here. I wouldn't look at them. I'll be looking at who is it that I'm being as a human being in my relationship with them that's having them be the way they are at work. So taking complete responsibility. So they're the two foundations, authenticity and openness. You have those two things as a human being and as a way of being in life, you have the foundation of a really successful business and getting along with customers, getting along with suppliers, getting great staff, getting great contract. You've got all that.
And you believe very much so in the process of having a mentor to help build that personal foundation as well. How did you go about finding a mentor and how has that affected your business career?
I didn't find one, he found me. And I think anyone that asks the question, how do you find a mentor? You get off your ass, you start taking action in life, and they come into your life at the right time. Some people go out there and they find a mentor, but you know what that really is? They're dealing with something called fear. They're trying to find a way out. And I found my mentor, 30-second story. I'm sitting downstairs. I think I'm mini Tony Robbins. Year one of my company, I think I'm mini Tony Robbins. I run in there. I've just come back from a seminar doing power moves and all this cool stuff this technology that I've learned. And my staff is sitting down. I'm high energy, hyped up. I've got 4 staff at this point, or 5. And they all go upstairs to start selling. And as I sit on my laptop, open up my Google AdWords account to look at how much money we're spending or losing at that time, because we were pretty much losing money, right? We didn't start making money from day one. We really didn't. And this guy's sitting across the table, and he walks past me, and he looks at me, and he says, "Excuse me." I said, "Yeah," I looked up from my laptop. I'm thinking, in my head still. He goes, "I just want to let you know something. The stuff you've been telling your sales staff and salespeople, you're full of shit. Thanks, have a good day." And he walked off. That's how I met my mentor. The next day, he's sitting there having coffee with a smug look on his face. And I walk up to him and I say, "Hey, do you mind if I take a seat?"
What you really wanted to say was...
Like, I'm going to, what the does that even mean, right?
Yeah.
Why would you say that? Here I'm being all excited. I'm doing the right thing. I learned this off Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is a successful guy. I'm doing the right stuff. He said something profound to me that changed my life. This was the moment. This was one of those rare moments in life where things shift for you. And he said something to me. He said, "You see all the stuff?" I was dealing with a lot of stuff. We weren't making money. When I opened up and I told him the truth, the Tony Robbins bravado was actually something far more. There was something very different behind that. It's called I was insecure. And I was masking and hiding. And he said something to me, and this is like the one thing that changed my life. So this is really valuable stuff. He said to me, "All the things that you think, and all the things that you feel, and all the things that you've learned, I want you to just get really present to them. So everything that you've ever learned, everything, every little bit and piece, all the stuff, and all of the feelings and fears that you have and all the concerns, I want you to experience them right now fully. And if you're watching this, do this exercise with me right now. Feel every single thing that you're dealing with. Think about them all. And if you're sitting inside, look out the window. And if you're sitting in a cafe, look outside. And if it's nighttime, look at the stars after you do this. Feel the most profound things that you can feel and think the most profound things you've ever been taught. And I want you to go look at the stars or look at the trees and ask yourself the question, has the world moved from my thoughts or feelings? Has the trees or the plants in the studio all of a sudden been more inspired? The physical universe doesn't move because of how you feel or how you think. It doesn't. And this was the big mystery for me because I was dealing with how do I fix myself in here because I'm broken? Or how do I deal with circumstances? The universe doesn't care about that. Your customers don't care about that. No one cares about how you think and what you feel. There's only one thing that makes a difference, what action you take. And so most people, including myself, knew what I needed to do. And if you're watching this and you're watching this because you're trying to find the next thing that you need to do in your business, 100% you already know the answer. 100%. You know what you need to do intuitively. Every human being has that programming. We're very smart people. Human beings are geniuses. Every single one. We have the programming on the inside to know what to do. But we don't do it. And then we look for education, we look for things, we look for quick fixes, we look for how-to guides. That's not the stuff that makes a difference. You know what you need to do. So the question becomes, how do you take action? And that's a different question. We might answer that later.
Beautiful. Absolutely profound. And I hope at home you're getting as much out of this as I am. We'll be back after this break with more of How I Doubled. Welcome back to How I Doubled. Today we're joined by Alan Belkin from ElectricityWizard.com.au, who has indeed doubled his turnover in the last 2 years from $3 million to over $6 million in turnover. It's a pretty cool figure, especially considering the story that you've already shared with us.
Yeah, I think it's a great figure. And we're on track, I think, to get probably closer to 10 mil in the next 12 months. So we are really growing, and it's a really great growth story. And I think the next thing we wanted to sort of speak about, right, was the mechanics.
Yeah, well, let's move on. And you talked about taking a very specific digital marketing strategy, and doing a lot with Google AdWords. So we're going to make point number 2 this evening: Google AdWords.
Okay,
it was the second factor towards doubling your turnover. Now, you approached Google AdWords very differently to how mum and dad approach it when they're messing around with a Google AdWords account. Yeah,
well, it's interesting because here's what I did. So first of all, some context actually. Do you mind if I just give some context?
Absolutely.
If we didn't have Google AdWords, right, as a company, we would not be where we are today. We spent, I think pretty much across the last several years since we started, most of our money marketing through lead generation via Google. That's changing now because we're diversifying across a much wider range of lead sources. So I just want to share though that digital was the essence of our business, right? We took whatever it was that, so we started a business where we had to generate leads. Every person that runs a business generates leads in some way, shape or form. It varies, it's different across a number of businesses, and Google AdWords may not apply to every business and every person watching today, but it will definitely apply to a lot of businesses today, because if you're not marketing through digital channels, and you've got heaps now, and I mean social media is the next big thing that we're going to focus on, but Google AdWords was the pivotal moment for us. So we spend $2 million a year or more, up to between $2 and $3 million a year, when we were growing on Google AdWords. And obviously it was slow when we started, but we got right in there. Every first day we spent, I think, $2,000, day one.
Okay, so let's go back to that first day, because I'm sitting at home. It's like, oh, gee, digital advertising. Where the heck do I start? What is that first step? What is that first day? Describe it to me.
Firstly, I think if you're at home and you're thinking about doing digital and you want to launch your digital platform, learn, right? Become what's the word when you really immersion. Get yourself immersed in digital. Now, not everybody likes digital, and not everybody knows digital very well. But if you can be one of two categories. We had no money, or very little, so it was a DIY job. to begin with. And I can I'm a relatively computer savvy guy. So if you're not computer savvy, there's probably the next door neighbor's kid, which is about 15 years old, which knows how to open up a Google AdWords account. Capital is not a restriction. Like, there is a million resources out there. People study this stuff. Kids that are like 15 study Google AdWords because they want to make money. So if you are if you're in an older demographic and you don't really want to study that stuff, find a person that you can partner with and that can help you with it. So how we started, I got on there and I opened up an account. And then I got some friends involved. And these guys were smarter than I was, and they helped me tinker with it a little bit, and we pressed play.
So the first day, you spent $2,000?
Yeah, something like that.
How on earth?
Probably not the first day, within like 3 or 4 days.
But you certainly hit the ground running.
Yeah, and we paid for it because we made no money, but we learnt. Yeah, we made no money off that. We had the ugliest looking website. I mean, you could probably take a crap on a web page and you could make a better website than what we had. Really. We had the ugliest website from day one. We really did. It was pathetic. I look back at what we had. I wish I could show you. You cannot screw up a website as badly as what we did. We paid an agency to do it, and it was really bad. I don't want to name the agency because it's going to embarrass them, but we paid a company to do it, and it looked so bad. Didn't produce great results. And but we knew that digital was the way to do it, so we just kept trying. And so, yeah.
So if someone at home is, they are in that first step, they have thrown their first money at a Google AdWords account or other digital marketing, they haven't got the result, what do you say to them?
We didn't get the result for nearly a year. This is the big thing, isn't it? Patience. I was watching Gary Vaynerchuk. Have you ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk? I mean, the guy's inspiring. He's just so raw. I love him. He kind of inspired me about how I want to be in this interview. Don't think I've ever going to quite meet Gary, but look. Here's the thing, Gary said patience with social media. It's also patience with learning, patience with yourself. Do you know that we spent so much money, losing money to try and discover and learn? And it's not like I said, by the way, can I just say this? I never sat back and said, I'm happy losing money. I never sat back a single day in the business and said, I'm happy losing money.
So what turned it around? When did you start earning money? What did you actually do?
We optimized our account. We were focused on making incremental improvements every day to the account structure, to the AdWords ad copy, to the ad groups. We learnt. If you're not familiar with a lot of those terms, I think everybody can Google those terms. I think Business Blueprint does a lot of great stuff around digital marketing. I think if you need any information, you just go to you guys pretty much. So there's a quick plug for you. I got paid for that apparently. Yeah, no,
all right.
Joking. Yeah,
Checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail. That's right. But that's the technical how-to. The how-to is the easy bit.
So there's no secret sauce here. You're telling me you literally just followed the steps of what Google would expect you to do to become successful with Google AdWords.
Well, even today, I'll answer that this way. The short of it is, were we better than every one of our competitors? Yes. 100%. We were more granular in our ad targeting. We were more granular in our ad copy. We were more granular across our keyword selection. We looked at metrics more. We spent a lot more time. This is going to astound you, I spent probably 6 hours a day looking at my AdWords account for the first, not 6, maybe 4, maybe 3. But a lot of hours every day, right? I love exaggerating. It makes it sound so much more compelling.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
That's what everybody around me, anyone that knows me knows that about me. But I spent hours every day staring at it. In fact, you know that the only time I stopped looking at it was probably in the last maybe 12 months? And the only reason was we got a great digital guy now. But I looked at it every day because that was our singular source of leads.
And you talk about,
more or less.
You talk about how specific you got with your account.
Yeah.
And you're doing it better than your opposition. Is that because you did pay so much attention to that strategy? Would that be your advice to another
100%.
business?
But Google may only be one channel. And it may not be even the right channel, but it might be a great channel for a business. If you've got a B2C market, if you're in the B2C, and you've got a lot of customers with a lot of keyword activity online, and even if you've got a small market and you've got a niche product, absolutely you can learn so much in Google, right? As long as people are typing your stuff in or a related keyword to what people are looking for, that's what happens with Google, right? I think most of the people watching know when they Google something, they get an answer, they get sponsored links. So the essence of what we did that made us better is we spent more time on the small stuff. It was ugly. It was boring. People would think I was insane in my office, tinkering and tinkering and tinkering and tinkering and tinkering. I could go on and tinker, but it made a difference.
Okay, which brings us to point number 3, which is test everything. So we're kind of overlapping here, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, tinkering, what does that look like?
So you have a website. Let's start again. You are using Google AdWords now, or you're getting traffic to your site. If you're not looking at data and you're not looking at metrics these days, you're dead in the water. And data and metrics is so key. Google Analytics, you can open up, you can find all the data and metrics that you possibly could want in your business, pretty much, online activity at least. And you can blend in offline activity too now. But you've got lead generation. That's called Google AdWords. Let's just say you've started up an account. You've now got a web page. We had a crap on a page, and that was what we called our website. And to begin with, and then we had a link. We had traffic coming to a web page, and the next step was we were then looking at this picture and we were going, what's wrong with this? Why is our cost of lead so high and we're losing money here? So what are we going to do? And so here's the thing that made the biggest difference in, I think, our company that allowed us to get to the market position that we're in. We're a market leader in what we do. We are at least in the top 3 companies in the country. I'd like to say the top 2, maybe the number 1 in some respects, and that just varies between which energy supplier we work with. But the thing that we do really well is that we focused on optimizing this landing page.
Okay, so let's very quickly, terminology, landing page.
Yes, your website. And some people can call it microsites because we have, this is when things went pretty crazy for us. We created pretty much, and not fully, but we basically aimed for this. We want a unique landing page for a unique Google search. Okay, and that's a pretty big mission. At the moment, I looked in our account, we have 600,000 keywords. Okay, granted, a lot of those don't get any impressions or searches, but they've grown in the account, right? There's a lot of keyword activity there. But we built dozens of landing pages in the early days for every keyword. Compare electricity prices, landing page. Compare electricity rates, landing page. Compare gas prices, landing page. And then we got a great tool on board which allowed us to systemize a lot of this. This is a quick plug for them, but it's not intended, it's just what we used. It was a great optimization tool. And you can then customize what's the architecture of your website using it. If anybody wants to go look at it, there's heaps of them out there. There's Optimize, the website, visual website optimizer. We happen to use Optimizer. We thought that was a good tool. It's expensive, but it's good. And so we optimized the landing page. And if anybody's looking at this video, as you're watching, go to our site, open up in a separate window. And if you're in Australia, register for a free comparison while you're there. We'll help you out, trust me. And have a look at the way we've laid it all out. We have tested and continue to test every element on that page.
So what sort of elements?
Okay, headlines. Number 1 leverage point, we changed our headline. I remember this one stat. This blew my mind. We changed our headline. I can't remember what we changed it from and to, but we had one period of time where we did a headline change, and we got like a 34% increase in conversion rates.
See, that's astounding. You're telling me that a business can, just by changing the headline on their website,
Yes.
increase their conversion rates by 34%.
I don't know if every business can do it by 34. It depends on the quality of their site and how good it is now. But I think that most websites out there that we look at aren't doing any testing. And if you're not doing any testing, I mean, we started with a 7% conversion rate.
Let's go back to the headline just very quickly.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Got carried away.
Was that an obvious change? Did you go, well, let's test these two together and we think that this one's going to be way better? Or was it just it
was such a blasé thing. I sat there out of frustration and I thought, this sucks. I'm sick of, we were at 7 when we started, then we got to 20 something. And then I said, I'm sick of 20, I want to get to 30. And the mission became in the company getting to a 30% conversion rate off PPC clicks, that's pay-per-click, Google ad clicks, AdWords clicks, to get to a lead. We wanted to work that out. And so we changed the headline by accident. It wasn't an accident, but we didn't intend it to have such a massive impact. And so we grew it from whatever that is, from 20 to 25 or 26, you do the math, 24%. Then we grew it again, and eventually we got it to over 30%. But the headline is the starting point. If you've done the headline, get social proof elements. We have a great widget, which we use. Social proof is key. We have 300 reviews, independently collected, not like we type them up or anything and put them up there. Don't do that. Terrible idea if you're doing that. Stop it. Crap. But we have 300 reviews, and we've rated 8.6 out of 10. And so you land on our site, and people will say to us, 300 other people out of 850,000 that have done comparison. Now, we only started this new social proof element recently, but 300 people, 8.6 out of 10, that's pretty good. We're happy with that rating. I'm going to sign up. So social proof elements, very powerful. And then the biggest thing that made it a great difference for us was also landing page design iterations. What I mean by that is we had one type of landing page with a form going this way. Then we changed it to a form going that way. 20% increase.
For the vertical form?
For the vertical form. Yeah, when we had it all on one page. We've now got a multi-step funnel, but when we used to have it, we had a microsite. You land, form in the top right, outperformed the form in the center. It's a great split test to do. If you're doing form data collection, we found that drastically improved our conversion rates. We also introduced technology like, and I think if you Google me with a Google case study, you'll see that we introduced a lot of technology around tracking keywords to phone calls. All of our money's made through a conversation with a customer in a call center. So we have to track where did that inquiry come from. So we can track it to a cost per lead, we can track it to a cost per acquisition, and we were the first one and still our competitors are still chasing us on this. Now that I've said it out loud, maybe they'll wake up, but they still aren't tracking to the degree that we are. And they're certainly, and they're doing some good optimization work, but they're catching up now. The industry, the mindset's changing out there, but that's one of the other massive elements. So we tinkered with the Google AdWords account. Eventually, by the way, the thing that made the biggest difference was getting a great agency. If you've got a business of any size, you can get great people. There's a lot of great people, and if you can't get them locally, you can get them internationally. And if you don't know how to find them, you can probably go on websites and you can get a lot of people like opting in, such as Elance. I think they've rebranded lately.
Upwork, yeah.
Yeah, Upwork is what they're called. They've got to send me a check in the mail too. After that, they're going to get all the viewers skyrocketing to their site. But make sure if you're going to go down that path, you've got to vet at least 100 people. Maybe not 100, maybe 20 or 30 or 40 great people. Because it's very hard to find a great AdWords company. We have a great company. And they do a very good job, and the people in it do a very good job. So that made a big difference as well. So the second thing is optimization should be an in-house task. If you've got a website and you make most of your money through your website, every day there should be somebody looking at it and making optimization changes, right? You should be tinkering with it. Never assume a static website. Your website is, presuming that you're in the digital game, and regardless if you're in the retail game as well, people look for you online. If you haven't got a basic website these days, which kicks ass, you're going to really struggle.
Fantastic. It's great advice. Google AdWords, test, test, test. We'll have more advice coming up after the break. You're watching How I Doubled. Welcome back to How I Doubled. I'm joined by Alan Belkin from ElectricityWizard.com.au, who 5 years ago had a loan for $20,000, turned it into a business turning over in excess of $6 million a year. It's an incredible story, and we're having a bit of fun today, Alan.
We are having some fun. That's good. I like it. I want to jump in with something which I forgot before.
Fire away.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we spoke about Google AdWords and we spoke about website optimization. I just want to share something which may make a difference. Everything I've said so far about all those topics, and I think I left off at some point talking about action and how do you actually end up taking action. If you take every content that's out there on the internet and you read it and you learn it and you do nothing with it, you are so lost and you're dead in the water. You might as well go piss all your money down the toilet because you are never going to make it.
So what about if I go out and borrow a copy of The Secret on DVD from the local library?
Yeah.
Am I going to get rich?
You're not going to get rich from that.
What?
And you can, believe it or not, if you watch that, you're not going to make any money unless you do something with it. But even if you do anything with it, I don't know how valuable it is. So here's the thing. Action is the only thing that's going to produce any kinds of results in your business. And any action is sometimes better than inaction. So if you're watching this and you're listening to the great concepts and you're hearing great stuff, here's something I learned that made a massive difference. It takes one thing, one freaking thing, that if you do it, can completely change your destiny in business and for your company.
But that's if you do it.
That's if you do it. And so what is it that actually gets in the way of people taking action, ultimately? That's the thing that people have got to ask themselves. You're watching this, you're hearing these great things or not so great things. You're either engaged or not engaged. Irrelevant. You're sitting down at home or at work and you're watching something. And then yet you turn it off and you go back doing the same mundane shit you were doing 20 minutes ago. And there's no difference.
So what's the key?
Is to, I think, in my view of where I sit now and I look back in my business, right, and I deal with this every day, is the truth. To start by telling yourself the truth. And the truth may sound for me something like this. I am waking up into, on a daily basis, and it doesn't matter if my company did 300,000 in the first year or 6 million or 10 million that we're going to hit. It doesn't matter what stage of the company we're at. You're dealing with fear. Human beings, everyone in life, if you're at the border of your comfort zone, if you're doing something new, you're dealing with the fear of failure, the fear of looking bad. And I deal with that every single day. I dealt with that coming on the show. I deal with that looking at whether the photo I post on Facebook got enough likes. My mind does this weird stuff like, am I socially validated now? You know, I go through that every day. And people ask me, but how do you get rid of fear? You don't. I had a breakthrough around this a couple of days ago. This is really timely. I know it sounds coincidental, but I promise you it happened. Where I realized that every time I've experienced massive amounts of fear, visceral, the thing that gut clenches, you don't have enough money in the account to pay your stuff. I mean, how many times have I been in that position at different times growing the company? The thing that I've looked back on is that fear is your greatest friend. And so you're talking about website optimization and Google AdWords, you're not really sure where you want to take your business, you don't really know, it's confusing, or whether you're talking about your general life, you don't know where you want to go with your life, you're experiencing uncertainty. It's your greatest allies you're going to have in your life is fear. It's going to teach you more about yourself. In fact, the thing I feared most in my life was public criticism. And people are going to watch it, they're going to either like me or they're going to hate me. But I realized that I got no control over that, and I embraced my fear fully like a friend, like something that you make love to your fear. And when you can really make love to your fear on whatever it is that you're doing, just respect it, put it like a water bottle underneath your arm that you carry with you everywhere you go. Know that it's never going to leave you, and no matter how many personal development books you read or how many optimization books you read, unless you do, you're never going to get rid of it. Just enjoy it for the ride. You know, everyone that's running a business knows it's a wild ride. And any mechanics that we talk about are totally relevant if you can't take action. So coming back to it, if the thing that's getting in the way for you is that you're experiencing a degree of fear or paralysis and uncertainty or information overload, just get that you are in the precipice of a breakthrough. If you're really in it, you're in the precipice of a major breakthrough. Major breakdowns are followed by major breakthroughs in life and in business. We had major breakdowns with our website, our cost of lead was crap, and we had a major breakthrough with all the tinkering that we did. Great result. But if you're dealing with shit, lots of it, and we all are in business, anyone watching, no matter what stage, unless you want to close your company, you want to die, and you just want to go in the corner and, you know, if you're not growing, if you're not experiencing fear, it means you're not growing. So loving your fear is going to be the thing which I think makes the step that you get as a bridge to being able to start taking some action, regardless of what we talk about.
Well, it ties in beautifully to point number 4, which I have here, which is actually sales, sales, sales. Not sales once, but sales, sales, sales. And that is where most business owners actually hold their fear. So tell me a little bit about sales with regards to doubling turnover.
Remember how I told you the story? I was with my mentor and I was talking about the fact that he gave me that moment where we talked about think everything, feel nothing moves in the universe. No matter what you're dealing with, or whatever, that feelings and your thoughts, I had to make a call that day. That was a pivotal day in my life because here's the result that it produced. When you realize that none of your thoughts or your feelings make any kind of difference in the world, it's only what action you take, and you put your fear and you carry it with you and you love it, you nurture it, you respect it, know that it's never going to disappear. I picked up the phone and made a call. We got a major client. That client has produced for us, I don't even know how many countless millions of dollars. That call I made petrified in the boardroom, pacing, because the fear was intense. And you know what I said? It was really simple. I was authentic. when I picked up the phone and I reached the person I needed to speak to, my heart was leaping out of my chest. And by the way, when I make calls, still today, sales calls, a lot of the time, or something that's outside my comfort zone, it still leaps out of my chest. But I made the call, and that client's yielded us millions and millions of dollars. And I shared with him, I said, hey, look, here's what we do. We run a big business. Here's what we focus on. And I wanted to ask you, look, would you be open to meeting up and seeing if we could work together, because we think we could benefit. And it was a really authentic and a really vulnerable phone call. So embrace the vulnerability, embrace the fear, and make the sale. Call. At least pick up the phone and call.
And you led from the front with regards to sales with your organization.
If you don't know how to sell in your business and you hire sales, people say, how do you hire great salespeople, right? One of the questions people ask, how do you hire great people? You train them. But you can find great talent. But fundamentally, I started on the phones. I started hammering cold calls when I was younger. I was hammering cold calls. And that's what allowed me to be able to train up the people in the organization in the way that I wanted, with the right culture, with the right mindset, and it then grew and it evolved over time. So you need to know sales.
So let me throw a statement at you, and I want to see how you respond.
Go.
Cash flow is king.
Yep. And I agree. End of conversation.
What does it mean to you?
I think, businesses that... Can I just say something about before you get... How do you get cash? You have to make a sale.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you have to collect the cash at the end of the sale. So let's sort of break it up. If you're dealing with, I haven't got enough money, I would ask myself, are you making any sales? At ElectricityWizard, the thing that we focused on every day, we've got a 30-people sales team. There's great people that are on the phones engaging with our customers. They love our customers. Now, our customers aren't always easy people to deal with. They're great people that are dealing with stuff in their lives, power bills. It's not an easy thing to be dealing with every day. And that's the call center sales side of things, right? But the other side of things is, if you're not getting enough cash, you're probably not selling anything. It's really simple, isn't it?
It's a simple equation.
Yeah, sell, collect.
And I know that one of the things we've discussed is that you're an advocate for get cash in your business early. It seems like a basic premise, but it's something that's missed by a lot of small businesses. Yeah,
you get so caught up and excited about you got a client and now they don't pay you. We're very lucky. We never had that issue, ever. And the reason is we work with ASX listed companies, a lot of them, or companies with a massive balance sheet of hundreds of millions of dollars of assets. And if you want to never have a problem collecting cash, pick an industry where your clients, or find clients in your industry, I should say, which are either Fortune 500 companies for our global viewers, or ASX listed companies or NASDAQ companies. Find great clients. They'll pay you. And now, if they don't pay you, make sure you have a good contract. Because, we never had that issue. But if the one thing I will say is, if you think that you're living in fantasy land, you're starting a small business, and you haven't got a good lawyer to write you a good contract that you sign with your clients, with a credit card slip where you automatically direct debit them or whatever it is, the fees coming out, do that now. Right now, find some guy, don't do a DIY job, template off the internet thing, guilty trying to do DIY contract, doesn't work. Go get a lawyer, write it up, and so, but before that's just mechanics. You've got to sell stuff.
Well, talking about, getting big clients, that rolls perfectly into point number 5, our last point, which is create outstanding relationships. Now, you already gave us a window into the insight on saying that it started with a phone call.
Yeah. And how did it, go on.
If you could give advice to someone, would it just simply be pick up the phone and dial the number?
Oh, God, it would be exactly that. I swear if I had $1 for every time somebody said, I haven't got enough sales, I'd say, how many phone calls have you made? It would be like, I would be so wealthy, I'd be retired. And I don't want to retire. But I'd certainly collect $1 off every time everybody in the world said, I have not got enough clients. It drives me insane. And then you ask the question, have you called anyone? Oh, no, I'm working on my website. Oh, I'm working on something else. I'm not saying that you don't have to work on your website, but if your day's not being allocated and prioritized to putting yourself at risk, vulnerably, openly, authentically with human beings out there, you're not going to ever sell anything. Nothing happens without another human being present. And so, Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, you're not looking for one-off transactions either with your customers, are you?
No. Well, we're talking about two different customers. I'm thinking of my clients that are the energy retailers. And in terms of our customers on the phone that our sales staff engage with, they haven't got a choice. That's their job, is to sell. And mind you, if you're struggling selling or you're starting a business, the number one thing, you can just get a job in a call center and learn how to sell. I did a commission only for years. Doesn't matter what I did. You don't have to. But learn how to sell. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say about that.
Look, there's a lot of people that would hear that and think, it's all good and well for you, but I'm not going to get a job in a call center. Like, comfort zone, that fear kind of strikes up.
Yeah, I know. And what have we said about fear so far? It's the best friend you're ever going to have. The thing you're most afraid of in your business is going to be the thing that's going to unlock your gold mine. That's what I believe. I wake up in fear every day. I kid you not. People watching this, people that know me in my life, know that not often am I waking up hunky-dory, $6 million a year, or soon to hit 10 as the company's growing. Are we waking up into happiness? Just don't wake up into that. I wake up into fear because I'm trying to do something new. I'm going to get criticized again. And so it is all good and well for me to say it. But nothing's going to change in your business unless you make it. Nothing in ElectricityWizard ever changed until some new action was taken. So somebody in the company, myself included, took a new action. We either got rid of the bad staff member, we brought a new staff member on, we did something on the website, we didn't do something. Your fear will never, ever disappear. Ever, ever. It will never disappear from you. You will have it till the day you die.
It's an incredible story. Alan Belkin, thanks for joining us on
My pleasure.
How I Doubled today.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next week at the same time with more on How I Doubled as we take a look at another business that has doubled their turnover in the last 2 years. But from today, what are you going to take away from this episode? It's great to watch. It's entertaining. However, what I want is for you to implement something into your business. And how do you get involved? Get involved in the conversation. Use the hashtag #HowIDoubled. Let us know what you did implement. How did it work in your business? And we want to find out. If you'd like to find out more about Alan and electricitywizard.com.au, head to businessblueprint.com/experts and you'll find all the details on the website. For How I Doubled, we'll catch you next time. I'm Pete Quist.